Good evening, Woodruff Wolverine fans, and welcome to another edition of the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. We are live here, as usual, at Tap 3 Main Street, Woodruff, South Carolina. As always, thank you to Ben Harrison and the crew for the hospitality, for hosting this event each and every Tuesday during football season. And they wanted me to mention it is BOGO Flatbreads. So if you're out there and you'd like to have a flatbread, come on down. It's buy one, get one. So, our special guest tonight, the one and only Mr. Phil Hembree. Phil, thank you for coming in, man. Been wanting to have you on for a little while, and we've made it happen tonight. Thanks for coming in.
It's a pleasure, Brad. I've looked forward to it since she reached out. Just want you to know I've come prepared to tell lots of stories tonight.
We got some extra time carved out, so that'll work. That'll work. Got your fan club over here to the left. So, but good crowd here tonight, as always. Oh man, we're gonna they're gonna be hollering at us the whole night, Phil. We're gonna have to. You have to tell them to calm down over there. For most of you that are Wolverine fans, you know that Coach Molly Hembree was a coach here in the district for a long time. Phil, I don't even know how many years. How many years was your dad officially a coach here?
He was here for 35 years, and I don't know that I think he took a couple of years off, but I know he taught 35 or 36 years and coached the majority of that time.
Yeah. One of my favorite coaches of all time is your dad. One of the good guys. I always loved to be around him. He was always even keel. Low key, cool, calm, and collected most of the time.
He is. I kind of feel like I'm the same way sometimes.
Yeah, got to pinch you to see if you're still breathing. Sometimes is that what it is?
Yes, for sure.
The funny story about Coach Hembree, your dad, Molly Hembree. Everybody that saw him play football when he was in high school. And Coach Varner confirmed this several times. Molly was a speedster back in the day. A lot of people didn't know that. But I heard somebody ask Coach Varner at one point, how fast was Molly Hembree? And he'd always say, faster than the closest man behind him. And he said he was just fast enough to beat the man behind him.
He was. I know they used to have a Spartanburg County Jamboree when he played, and they had a 100-yard dash, and he won it, I think, his junior and senior year. So even in the county against Spartanburg Dorman, he was as fast as those guys.
Yeah. And an incredible baseball player. Your dad had a great high school career, went on to the minors. You'll have to remind me, who was he drafted by coming out?
He got drafted by the Phillies.
Phillies, that's right, because he ended up playing in Spartanburg. Because the stories up there was how he could hit home runs in the top of the trees at Duncan Park.
A story that people probably don't know is, first of all, I got my name from him being with the Phillies.
Right.
And he was actually in a game. They had a game when I was born, and they announced it at the Phillies game. And during that game, he hit a home run after they had announced that I was born. So, yeah, most people don't know that, but that's a true story.
A home run in honor of Phil? That's pretty cool. I had not ever heard that one before. But Phil, you were a great athlete of your own coming through here at Woodruff. We were talking earlier, for those of you who already know or may not remember, Phil's football senior season was 82. Some of the really, really good football teams from Woodruff from, 78 to 85, 86. It was a good long run of football teams. But what a lot of people may or may not remember was your career in baseball. Mm-hmm. And so tell us a little bit about, the baseball journey that you had coming out of high school.
Well, I ended up, I thought all along that I was going to be playing football somewhere, and it just didn't pan out the places that I really wanted to go. I really didn't have the opportunity to go. So I was kind of late to making a decision that I was going to play baseball. I went to Spartanburg Methodist for 2 years and played there for Lon Joyce. I ended up having a red shirt my first year. I had tore my elbow up, had to have surgery. So I didn't get to play that year. I had a fairly successful sophomore season there. Could have went back, probably should have. They ended up going to the World Series that next year. Right. But I went to...
When would that have been?
That would have been in 83, 84.
Okay.
So the roommate that I had, it was USC Spartanburg then. They were starting their program.
Yeah.
And my roommate had signed to go there. So instead of going back to SMC and playing that third year, I decided to go to USC Spartanburg. And unfortunately, things just never worked out from there. The best season that I had was my sophomore season at SMC, but never materialized at USC Spartanburg.
How far do you think you could hit a baseball in the day?
I don't know.
Because there's an argument between you and Graham and Molly, I'm sure.
I've had people put a distance on it before. The thing that I can tell you for sure is that it was farther than my daddy and it was further than Graham's. That's what I know for sure.
Oh, man. That's fantastic. I'm definitely going to send this to Graham later so we can make sure he hears what you said.
Let me tell you this story. We were playing at Broome. Graham, I think, was a sophomore or a junior. And it was a varsity game we was playing, and he hit a home run that night. And I just so happened I was coaching third base, and we always would talk about the same ballparks that he may have played in that I played in that we hit a home run.
Right.
And as he rounded second, he was grinning like a mule eating briars. And as he rounded third, because he knew that I had hit one at Broome.
Yeah.
And he asked me then, he said, "Where did yours go?" And I said, "It went further than yours."
Oh, man. You can't beat a little family rivalry there, man. That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So you had a career here working at Woodruff Middle School. How many years did you put in at Woodruff Middle School?
I worked 16 years.
16 years, and now you're part of Greer Rec. Is that the right?
Yeah.
Is that the right department?
The city of Greer. I work in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism.
And we were talking earlier about Little League football and the different styles. And, when you guys were coming up, Little League football was 4th, 5th, and 6th grade pretty much only.
Yeah.
Was the only option. And tackle football starting in 4th grade. And
we called it the midgets when I played.
Midget league, yeah. And the thing that people in this day and age don't realize with Little League football was that the 4th graders played against the 6th. You played with the 6th graders. You weren't segregated from the 6th graders. And, it either toughened you up or I guess scared you to death. I don't know which one it was. You were talking earlier about the movement towards flag football right now, and that's a huge thing. I think it's going to be I believe it's going to be an Olympic competition.
It is
coming up this next time. So there's a little bit of a movement for, even up into the middle school age for kids to sort of gravitate towards that flag type style football.
At Greer, our biggest program is the spring baseball. We have about 600 kids registered in spring baseball, but our second biggest sport is flag football. We have close to 300 kids signed up in our flag league. We got 120 in our tackle league, so we got 420 kids. But we've seen our numbers and the growth of the tackle program has dwindled the last several years because everybody's wanting to go play flag,
right,
opposed to the tackle. And I think we try to pattern our programs to be feeder programs for the school, and I feel like that you can see that that's not happening so much as far as our football is concerned in Greer, because they're wanting to play. They want to play flag. They just don't want the contact. It's more fun. They don't have fears of getting injuries, being hurt. So it's definitely taking place in Greer, I know.
Yeah. Let's talk about, we were talking a little bit of nostalgia earlier of some Coach Varner stories. And every now and then during the season, I get an opportunity to reminisce a little bit about some of those old days. And you look back now, and that's 40 years ago, Phil. That's 40
Long
years.
time.
That's crazy.
I feel it.
Some of those years doesn't seem like it's taken that. It's been that long ago. But you were part of some really special teams during that era. This is a question that I always ask people. If there was one moment, one game, one thing that stood out to you, maybe in your years of football, maybe it wasn't a championship game, maybe it was something else. Is there something that sticks out in your mind that you could say, hey, this was pretty cool. This is a memory that I have.
Well, outside of all the Coach Varner stories, there would be two that I remember the most. I was fortunate my 10th grade year, my sophomore year, to play for a state championship team. We won, and that's something I'll never forget. Many people can't say that.
That would have been the 80 team.
That would have been the 1980 team.
Yeah.
82, my senior year, 80 would have been the high. 82 would have been the low, unfortunately. We got beat on the last play of the game against Chapin for the upper state championship in 82.
Right.
We actually turned the ball over we turned the ball over with a little over 3 minutes to go, and they drove down the field and time run out. There wasn't a lot of time management back then. We used to call it 2-minute drill.
Right.
They got down to the 4-yard line with like 4 seconds to go and scored on a running play to beat us on the last.
Game here?
That game was here. So that would be the low. But that's the two things that stick out the most that was winning a state, and then my senior year losing, the last game in that fashion.
Yeah.
Kind of sticks with you. I'll never forget it.
What is so if there's a PG, is there a PG version of a Coach Varner or a Coach Varner-ism that you could share with us real quick?
Wow. How long you got? I've got some good ones. I guess my junior year. Well, let me take it back. Yeah, this was my junior year. I'll tell you a couple of good stories if you got a second.
Yeah, man.
So we go to Gardner Webb for summer camp. That's what kicks our season off. We go up there for a week, 2-a-days. So we get up there and we get checked into the dorm, got our room assignments, and they put Coach Varner had posted the depth chart on the wall, and everybody was going and looking. And in junior high, I was a receiver, a tight end.
Right.
And during spring practice that year, Coach Varner had me running as a receiver at spring practice. Well, when we got to camp and Coach Varner put the depth charts up, I went and looked at the depth chart, and he had me as a running back.
All right.
And I'm like, well, I'm not a running back. I'm a tight end.
Yeah.
So Coach Woodward was a coach then. He went on to Walhalla and coached. But anyway, he was the coach on my floor. And I went and said, Coach Woodward, Coach Warner's got me down as a running back on the depth chart. I'm not a running back. I'm a tight end.
Tight end, yeah.
And he said, well, Phil, you just need to go talk to Coach about it. And so I'm like,
Easier
just go to his room.
That's easier said than done.
I'm like, just go to his room.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And Coach Warner would always stay on the first floor. So I go to his room. Door's cracked. I knock on it. He says, come on in, partner. And I go in. And he said, what you got? And I said, well, Coach, I went and looked at the depth charts, and you got me down as a running back. I'm not a running back. I'm a tight end. Is that a mistake?
Yeah.
And that was my introduction to Coach Warner.
Oh, man.
At that time. Now, this same year, I was running back.
Yes.
And we get to the first game of the season against Clinton, and I was in the rotation to run plays out. We didn't call them like they do now. You run them in each.
And you better remember what he called by the time you get to the huddle.
That's where I'm going. So.
Oh, man.
We in the second quarter, and he gives me a play.
Yeah.
Now, still don't remember what that play was,
Yeah.
but I can tell you what I called when I got to the huddle. I called quick pitch right.
Oh, Lord.
And we were on our hash on our side, so I called a quick pitch to the short side of the field.
Oh, Lord.
And so it was third down. We didn't get it. We had to punt. He was letting our quarterback hold it. You can imagine.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I call what Phil told me to call. And he got me.
Yeah.
For about the next half a quarter. And he told me that I'd never play offense again. And I didn't for the rest of that season. I never played another offensive play, but I did play defense.
Naughty dog.
So those are two of the better stories.
So what during your time, which offense was he running at that point in time?
We run the wishbone.
Wishbone.
My senior year, we run just a split backs. My 10th and 11th grade year, but we run the wishbone. Of course, my senior year, Tony moved up from 9th grade and was our quarterback, so that kind of suited his style. He always threw the ball very well, but he threw the ball so hard and just didn't have very good touch on it. So we didn't. In traditional Woodruff football, my dad come to one of the last games we went to, and he was in the first quarter, and he said, Phil, we done seen more passing in this quarter than we've seen in about 2 years when you played. And I said, well, that's how much it's changed. So
yeah. It's funny that back in the day, the goal was to eat up all the time and score once or twice and hold your opponent to no points. Over the years, how much all that has kind of flipped and changed.
It was truly 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, if we threw the ball, 4 or 5 times a game, that was, you just didn't expect to do that. So you didn't think we wasn't trying to score. Yeah. That was the style of football that we played. And everybody, you didn't see. Right. I can remember my senior year, we played against Randy Anderson at Broome that went on and played at Clemson. And they threw about 20 times. And I know we practiced all week and what kind of coverages was going to run. We were more confused as players than anything because we never had to prepare for that.
Right.
So it was, you just didn't see it then like it is now.
I might throw this question out to Coach Sloan at some point, but I've often wondered if there's somebody who went back to the split veer or something to that effect, what today's high school defenses would do or have to do to learn how to defend it, It's a completely different blocking scheme and everything.
I think the kids are just so different now. They're just built different. They've, the speed and getting open in space. It's just, they're just taught different. I have people ask me all the time at the games, how do I think we would do against a team now. And as good as we were, and I come through in a time that, in my 3 years, we probably lost 4 games.
Yeah.
Played for a championship every year.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we could, we played both ways. Mm-hmm. We played special teams. I don't know that, I really don't, as tough as I thought we were and as good as I thought we were, I don't know how well we would size up to that style of playing.
I've thought about it, before, and it was always to me a little bit different type of conditioning playing in Coach Varner's offense, than opposed to Coach Sloan's offense. And there's not, like, I'm not saying one's right or wrong either way. It's just a different kind of conditioning you have to be in my opinion, anyway.
I can remember for our summer workouts, our weight workouts, you had to do 10 workouts for the summer.
In order to let her.
If you got your 10 workouts, that got you that, and you got to go to camp for free.
Right.
You didn't have to pay your way to camp, but 10.
Right.
And they're getting 4 a week now.
Mm-hmm. And lifting
and we
during
had 10 for the whole summer.
And lifting and doing speed work during the season, so
mm-hmm.
It's a whole different.
It's different.
Whole different thing. But in the day of the split back veer and the wishbone and the option and all the things, it was, you can even go back and look at Tony Rice's, when he got to Notre Dame, how just incredibly powerful his quads were huge. Mm-hmm. And I asked him last year when he was here on the show, I asked him if he knew how fast he really was. And, he had a really good answer, but it was something to the effect of, when he got on the college level at Notre Dame and was able to outrun some of those guys, it was a reality in his mind. He was like, okay, I can play at this level, but yeah, it was a different era of football, man, and a lot of good memories I know for you and a bunch of other of your teammates, and a good run there in the 70s and 80s for Coach Varner. And actually, I found some videos last fall, I believe. Coach Varner and Coach Grant made some videos of kind of doing a summary of every single team up to when Coach Varner retired. So I've got to get some more of those uploaded on YouTube. But it was incredibly interesting to me to hear. Coach Varner, it was black and white. He'd pull up a team and he'd look at the stats. He was like, well, this wasn't a particularly memorable team. Mm-hmm. We kind of underachieved. But hopefully I'll get the rest of those up because it goes through, I believe it went through 92 or 93. So all the way up through there.
It's hard for people my age. Now, obviously, they didn't have camcorders and that kind of stuff when I played. But when the school burned, they lost all the film.
Yeah.
So people my age and up to the time that happened, you really don't, for the most part, you don't have anything to reflect back on. And, look at that. I've talked with Garrett before about trying to get some old film with the schools we played, but never been able to. So I really get excited looking at that. And I think I told you before, I got the 1980 state championship on the, I guess that's a 9mm or whatever it is, the old film. I got that in the two cases, and I'm still going to give it to you. I just got to get to it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Phil, I appreciate you coming in, man. It's always good to see you, good to talk with you. I know you're running for school board this time coming up, and your dad was also on the school board for a long time, and my brother ended up being on the school board after my mom was on there for a long time. So I know that there's a lot of pride that you have to be able to represent our community.
Jay and I talked about that. This is something that I've contemplated since I left. I knew one day I was going to do it. I was going to wait maybe till I retired, but this time something just told me it was the right time to get in.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I hope I can gain a seat. I think I can help make a difference. I think that with my roots, not only in the community but within the district, I think I could be a positive influence on the future decisions that's going to be made.
Well, good deal. Well, I once again appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us, and I'll let you get to ordering some dinner, and we'll bring
I
up.
believe Kay's done eat my flatbread.
It might be Scott Lawson. I don't know. But I'll let you go, man. Good to see you as always. And in just a couple minutes, we're going to bring up Coach Brett Sloan and talk about our game against Woodmont and a home game coming up against La Chesney. And so we'll be hosting Chesney at home here this week. So give us just a couple minutes, and we'll be right back with Wolverines coach Brett Sloan.
We can roll on.
All right, everybody, we are back here live with Woodruff Wolverines head coach Brett Sloan, live at Tap 3 on Main Street in Woodruff, South Carolina. As always, thank you to Ben Harrison and all the staff here for hosting us each week on Tuesdays. They always are incredibly hospitable. BOGO flatbreads on Tuesdays. So if you're out there listening, every single Tuesday during football season is BOGO flatbreads. So you guys come out and get a flatbread here at Tap 3. Hang out with us, talk some football on Tuesday nights.
That's right.
So, Coach Sloan, what a game on Friday, Coach. And I'm going to throw this out right now. I don't even know if you even looked at it or knew, but our Wolverine legend himself let me know that we had 608 offensive yards, I believe, this past Friday, which is top 3 all-time in the school history.
We're going to have to go back and check because Coach Lewis had us at 628.
Okay.
And Garrett had us at 608. So
Still
I'm
not
sure.
quite. Still not quite the record, but nonetheless, that is a lot of yards.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
a good number, So
yeah. If you want to use a cliche phrase, we're firing on all cylinders. I'm not sure. Jay and I were trying to count as we were sitting in the bleachers. I believe Connor completed 15 or 16 straight passes. Without a drop.
I'm not sure how many completed in a row. We were talking about that Sunday at one point, but to open the game, I know he went on quite a run there. You know, that was pretty impressive. It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, no incompletions, no drops. I mean, it was a really. He looked super comfortable, and all across the board Friday, Coach. It was a really well played game from my viewpoint, at least. Defense played lights out. I believe we only gave up 5 first downs. The entire game, 126 yards of total offense the defense gave up, I believe.
Something along those lines.
And,
it was under 200, I know that. So.
And that is, that's just it just was a really well-rounded game for us on Friday. I don't know from a coach's standpoint if you guys were seeing it that way as well, but on paper we hit the mark we were aiming for.
Well, I mean, as coaches, we were obviously very proud of the effort, and proud of it. Was definitely the most complete game we played this year.
Sure.
But there's a lot of things that have to be fixed still, and our kids, they know that, and there's a lot of things that we need to work on, and we still we always. We take pride, or we break it down: no punts, no turnovers, score every possession. And we still had a turnover. We didn't punt the other night. We didn't punt.
That's
which
one
I think
stat that I didn't say.
I think that was the first time in my three years here that we haven't punted in a game. We did have a turnover. Connor threw one interception. We had a little breakdown and. We had a breakdown in protection there, and it was twofold. Connor could have been. He was a little bit late, just a little bit, but it's a game of inches, and he was a little bit late. He could have thrown it a little earlier, but we also got beat up front on that particular play, and unfortunately, yes, he got hit as he's throwing, and it falls right into the arms of a linebacker. So we did have a turnover. There's a lot of things to work on still, and our guys know that. But unbelievably proud of them, and you can see it starting to come together. The offense in particular has been each week taking steps in the right direction, and not that the defense hasn't either. It's just I think the defense came out a little ahead of the curve a little bit, if I would, and then the offense was maybe a little bit behind the curve compared to where we were last year. But had a lot more experience on that offense last year. But you can kind of see the growth. You can see us growing on the offensive line. You can see us growing at the quarterback position. Receivers like Curtis Bell had a big night with several catches. You see him developing and becoming a threat. Rylan Renfro had a touchdown catch. T. Glenn got in there in the second half, and he had a great catch on a big third down. They were really loading the box on us, and we took a shot at it, and it was a great throw and catch. So there's a lot of guys made big time plays. We got Cam going a little bit, which has been a goal the last few weeks. It's been a point of focus the entire season. It just hadn't quite developed and come together the way we wanted it to, and we felt like it did the other night, So it was good to see him get going, and hopefully we can continue some of those things. So.
Yeah, Connor looked like he was able to spread the ball around pretty well to our playmakers out in the space. And the other thing that I thought was really great and going to benefit us down the road is the fact that we had a lot of bodies playing second teamers, getting some reps, and that just helps us the farther that we go along in the season, in my opinion. And as you move towards region and then you move towards playoffs, being able to have kids with experience. If they're not the first guy, the second guy's got a bunch of reps at varsity game speed. That's a game changer.
Well, you hope it's a chance and an opportunity to. Build some depth and build some with experience, because there's nothing like experience, They have to get in there and they have to do it, and then when you get them in there and they go out there on a Friday night, you get it on film, and then you get to teach off that film too, and and it just the lessons hit home so much deeper maybe, and they're more impactful when you're watching your screw ups, versus watching somebody else's, or when you're watching your successes as well.
Right,
So those lessons become a little bit more impactful that way. So the opportunity to get those guys in there was big, and it was a fun night, it really was.
Sure.
So.
Well, I know from my end, I continue to be impressed with our depth at running back. And, Aiden Gibson has been, kind of the number one premier back for us this season and as well as last season. But talk a little bit about the depth at running back that we have, Coach, because it's very evident that we have some young men at running back.
Yeah, we feel really good about all those guys. Aiden only had 13 carries the other night, and I don't think he's had 20 carries in a game yet this year. Which part of that's by design.
Right.
We want to be able to keep him fresher longer. And hopefully, later in the season, he doesn't have all those carries on his body and things. So that's part of it.
Right.
The other part is we feel like we got really good players back there, and we got guys who can go in and do the job. Jalen Lyles has been really good when he's been given opportunities. R.J. Bird was really good the other night as well. He's a young sophomore. It's going to be really good for us. And then you got Jalen Robertson, who's starting down at Mike, linebacker, and he's a very, very good running back too. And just because of his workload on defense, we haven't been able to get him going, but he's somebody that we're unbelievably confident in too, and he's a big time. We think he's a very good high school back as well. So, it's nice to have depth. It allows us to be a little more flexible with what we do with Aiden, and do some things. He doesn't have to just line up in the backfield because we have other backs who can do that too, So, right. That's all part of it, but it's good to see those guys have success, So.
Yeah, and we were. This is the time of the year when you're in game 4. You got some bruises and some soreness and some. You're kind of feeling the weight of the season thus far, and being able to have those guys, the twos and the threes, being able to fill in. You got to be able to give some guys some rest to get that recovery that we need, to stay fresh at this time of the season. And it's cold and flu season too, and all that stuff. So
it feels like it's an everyday battle right now. It really does. And we played 4 games in a row, and we got to play 3 more, So it's that time of year. We're a little beat up and banged up, but every team who's playing football is. So it's you either make an excuse or you make a play, one or two. And, we're going to go attack it, and we're going to go find a way to make a play, So that's just kind of how it is. Find a way to go 1-0 this week, and then try to and get to the bye, and get healed up a little bit and, move on from there. So, so I think they're doing a good job of managing that. Our training staff, our strength staff, Coach Thomas is doing a great job managing it. Our coaches are doing a great job managing some of those guys' workload at practice and things like that. So we're always looking at the catapult data and whose workload was super huge yesterday or who didn't hit their numbers yesterday, and we get some information about it. It really gives us a lot of feedback about how fresh their legs are sometimes and things like that. So it's we're lucky to have those resources, and we're trying to use them to the best of our ability, to manage all that stuff. It's a challenge though. So,
well, you guys are doing an excellent job this year as always, and just an extremely dominant effort by our Wolverines on Friday night, just controlling the entire game on both sides of the ball against a 5A, a much larger 5A opponent. In Woodmont. It was just a dominant effort, and thankful for all you guys do to keep those guys safe and being as effective as we possibly can, gathering all that data so these guys can maximize their effort every day in practice and on Fridays. Coach, let's move to what we affectionately know as the Battle of 221. Is officially happening this Friday. We are hosting what Coach Molly and Phil Hembree would refer to as La Chesney. And I'm not going to tell you what Freddie Brown said about Chesney, but we'll leave it at that. But we are hosting the Battle of 221 this week. Chesney has been a rival of ours for years and years and years. I have not seen Chesney play this year, Coach. What does the Chesney Eagles look like when they come into Wood?
I think they're really good and a really dangerous football team. They're really well coached. I think their scheme is very good. They do a really good job of schematically putting their playmakers in situations to make plays. And they do have some guys who are especially at the skill position, some guys who can really change games for them. So you just got to be aware of that. And then on defense, they're very multiple. You get a lot of different looks. They keep you off balance. You may see an odd front in one series, an even front the next series, and figuring out what they're going to do in the box can be a challenge, and they really try to keep you guessing there. And they play really hard, and they play extremely hard when it's in this game. They always do. They did last year.
Yeah.
They did my first year here. And I have no doubt, Coach Chaplin and those guys do a great job, and I got no doubt that they're going to come over here. They're going to expect to win, and we got to make sure that we're ready to play the game. And like I said last week, we got to make sure we're the most excited team to compete. That's going to be a challenge week in and week out, but especially in a rivalry game. They're 3-1, and their only loss is in overtime to Broome. Who had us in the fourth quarter game last year. So
yeah.
So they're a good football team. Quarterback's super athletic. And they do a really nice job featuring him as a runner. But he's not just a runner. He can make throws too. Really good arm talent. They got a receiver number 1 who plays the ball in the air as good as any receiver I've seen in the area here lately. He's really good down the field, fade balls, things like that. He's strong-handed, great body control. Really times it well. He's a challenge. And then they got a couple good young running backs too. One of them who played JV last year, and I remember he rushed for I don't know how many yards on us on JV last year. So they present some problems both with their skill and with their scheme on offense. And then defensively, they really keep you guessing, and they run to the ball. They play really hard. They get after you. They're a good football team. So
yeah, that's one thing about these rivalries that we play, whether it's Clinton, Chesney, Chapman, whoever it is, those guys are they're definitely going to be hyped up about coming to W.L. Varner Stadium and try to get a win.
Sure, and it's funny you mentioned Clinton because their scheme offensively is quite a bit like Clinton's actually, except minus they'll have 2 wings. They'll have tight end and 2 wings a lot of times, but then they're what we would call the B-back is their quarterback. So now they're able to put another receiver out there too. So it's kind of flex bone-ish, kind of single wingish a little bit.
Right.
It's, but with the ability to threaten you with a passing game too. So they present a lot of challenges, especially offensively. They really do.
$1 million question: do they have a proctor on the team this year?
I don't remember one, but so
I think we noticed last year that it was almost 10 years in a row there was at least one.
They
proctor.
had one last year, played North-South game actually. So he was a really good football player. Number
Crazy
12.
That family name up there has seen a lot of football in the Chesney community. So, so as far as the Wolverines, Coach, what are our keys to the game for Friday? From our end that we have to do to make sure we come away with a win?
We got to run the football. I think, when you're able to run the football, you're able to control the game, and that helps you with their offense a little bit too. As far as being able to, minimize how many touches the quarterback actually gets. And how many opportunities he gets to make a play on you, because he can really do that. So we got to be able to run the football on offense. We got to be, defensively, we got to be more physical. And we got to do our job, because there's a lot of very similar to Clinton. You're going to get like a jet sweep action one way, and then you may get counter back the other way. And if you may get quarterback sweep looking action one way, and then counter back the other way, and then you may get buck sweep and then boot back off of it. So if you just go chasing and trying to play the play instead of playing your key, then they can really, really gas you for a big one. So they can really hurt you. So those are the biggest thing, and it really comes down to the same thing we talk about every week: is our plan to win doesn't change. All right, be more physical. Be the more physical team. Don't turn the ball over. Be great on special teams. No pre or post snap penalties. And I say that all the time. And I think our kids they probably tire of hearing me say it, but it's true. And we don't really change that. That's what wins football games, and we got to continue to do that. So that's one of the things I challenged them on last week. Is we still lost the turnover battle. They had, we turned it over once, and they didn't turn it over. So we got to find a way to protect it better, and we got to find a way to create more turnovers on defense. Right. So we got to do all those things. So but it's going to be a challenge. Should be a great game. Should be a great environment. Can't wait to watch our guys play. So. Right,
and I think if I'm not mistaken, is it youth football night?
It is WYFL night. Yeah.
Youth sports night. So that's always a sight to see, with the players kind of making the tunnel out on the field, the cheerleaders. The future of Woodruff football,
future Wolverines,
kind of participating in the pregame activities. It's always an awesome sight to see all the gold and the white jerseys and everything out there at WYFL, and how pumped they are when the smoke. We start blowing the smoke and the guys run through the sign. It's always a big time for our WYFL kids. Well, Coach, as always, incredibly thankful for your time on a Tuesday night to come and talk football. Anything that you want to share with us before we close out tonight?
I mean, we need a great crowd Friday night, full of energy, because Chesney's going to bring it. So we got to make sure we do the same. So we need a great environment. You don't know how much that means to our kids. They love playing at home because of the environment.
No opportunity to come out flat this time.
We don't need to come out flat. We need to come out ready to play and being in focus for a 4-quarter game. Because it's gonna be that. So.
Well, I have no doubt that Wolverine fans are going to show up at W.O. Warner Stadium on Friday. It's always a packed house when we have youth league night. So I know everybody's going to be coming out expecting a great game. And because we told you on a Tuesday there's going to be a great game, you probably ought to show up. Because every time we've said it so far this year, it's been an incredibly great game.
We haven't been far off, have we?
Yeah, we've been pretty close. It's kind of like you know what you're talking about a little bit, maybe.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, guys, we're going to close out for this episode of the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. Once again, as always, thank you to everyone at Tap 3, Ben Harrison, all the wait staff for being so hospitable. Thank you again to Phil Hembree and his whole fan club came out tonight. We had a good crowd here tonight, as always, and just come on out, buy a ticket, watch this game, support these guys on Friday night, and we will see you again next week for another edition of the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. Take care, guys. We'll talk with you next week. Take care.